So what's up, you guys? My name is Kaiser, and today I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different. I'm gonna be discussing the tier changes as of June 2014 because I found some of the changes to be a little bit interesting. And note that most of this is gonna be based on usage over actual like testing, I guess. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Oh, and by the way, this is the first time I'm gonna be doing something like this, so if y'all could help me get a little bit better at these analyses, I would really appreciate it. I did pay attention a little bit to the Smogon tiering of Diamond and Pearl and Black and White, but I wasn't really there for the actual like updating of these tiers. And as you can see, especially for X and Y, the uh, the tiers are extremely dynamic. They're changing a lot, but that's probably more due to the actual um, mode or way of how they're basing the tiers. So let's go and get this thing started. Um, so to, so for here we have a few Pokemon moving up from UU and or lower up to OU, including Gardevoir, Manectric, Medicham, Quagsire, Scolipede, Smeargle, and Vaporeon. Now, some of these I was okay with. Mega Manectric's obviously very good due to his increased bulk with Intimidate. He has access to Flamethrower, Hidden Power Ice, obviously making him a very good physically defensive slash especially offensive pivot. So Mega Manectric, I do believe, deserve to be an OU all this time. Mega Medicham, obviously, with pure power, base 100 attack. And with access to all the elemental punches, plus high jump kick, drain punch, and psycho cut, whatever. Extremely good coverage. He can kill everything with an appropriate amount of support from like sticky web or anything like that. Now, one of the things I was a little bit disappointed about, as you can see here, is Quagsire moving up to OU because he was definitely one of my favorite Pokemon I used back in UU. Since, I don't know, I just really liked Quagsire. But at the same time, it made sense for him to move up because, well, he is unaware. Now, that's really the only reason why he's probably an OU. Now, for those of you who don't know, Quagsire's unaware ability allows it to bypass any stat changes of the opponent. So, for example, if Scizor on the opposing side used a Sword Stance to go up to +2, Quagsire would, and it used like an X's or a U-turn or whatever on Quagsire. Quagsire would not acknowledge the +2, would only take, quote unquote, neutral and or +0 damage from X's. Now, with unaware, Quagsire actually becomes an extremely good check to a lot of the physically offensive threats in OU. For example, we have Aegislash, physically offensive Aegislash, and he can take Iron Head, Sacred Swords, or Shadow Claws for days. And note this is only for physically offensive. He might not even actually be a counter to eat physically offensive Aegislash. Tyranitar as well, in case it is a Dragon Dance set or whatever. Dragon Knight, especially, as most of those are Dragon Dance sets with Dragon Claw and Outrage. He can definitely take any of those. Retaliate with a Scald and hope for the burn. Who else? He can take on. He can take almost any of the physical threats in OU now, but only really as a check because he still really doesn't appreciate like a return from a Scizor or a Drain Punch or Guts Boosted Drain Punch from Conkeldurr or even just a regular Play Rough and Mega Mawile. So I do believe that Quagsire actually does deserve to be an OU at this point. Now, moving on, Scolipede, obviously one of the best baton passers in the game, not just because he's already fast, but also because he can stand on his own as a physical threat with access to moves like Rock Slide, Mega Horn, Poison Jab. He has pretty decent coverage with the exception of steel types, floating steel types, but obviously it wasn't enough to deter him from being put into the top percentage usage in OU. Smooth down Smeargle. I don't really have much to say about Smeargle. I don't know. I just don't really care for Smeargle. So y'all can leave your comments about that. Vaporeon, I guess it makes sense because he acts as a good um, Wish utility passer. He can also get Heal Bell from Black and White 2. He can act on his own as a special attacker, but obviously no one's going to be running that. But with the Toxic Skull, Wish, Pivot, Protect, whatever, Vaporeon still stands as a good wall and as a usable wall in OU. Now let's talk about some Pokemon that are moving down to UU from OU. First we have Alakazam, which I guess he could make sense. Maybe, I mean, I still think Magic Guard is still extremely was one of the best abilities in the game, as he does not take damage from burns, toxic leech seeds, or hazards, or sandstorm or hail. Um, but he is incredibly frail, and Mega Alakazam is definitely not one of the most usable things. But in UU, he will tear shit up. Blissey, no, no, he needs to be back in OU. Enough said. I mean, I don't understand how exactly he's outclassed by Chansey, and I know that Chansey does get the Violite and can tank physical hits. I mean, Blissey needs to be at least BL. I mean, I don't think he should be UU. Just because he serves all the same things, all the same roles as Chansey, plus I just don't agree with it, really. So up next is Goodra. He definitely should be UU to me because he doesn't really pose all that much of a threat. I mean, he has a very respectable base 110 special attack, but uh, I just don't think it hits hard enough to be like uh, an effective special sweeper. I mean, his speed isn't all that good. Don't quote me on this. I think he has base 70 speed, which obviously isn't good enough, even with sticky web support and his GUI. But I mean, obviously, definitely still going to be one of the best defensive walls, especially defensive walls in the game, as he only has 2 weaknesses, and even then, he can still take those attacks really well, especially if you run Assault Vest. But yeah, I think Goodra definitely belongs in Yu-Gi-Oh. So let's move on to Infernape. Infernape is a little iffy to me. I think he belongs in it. Maybe BL. I don't really know because I don't really use them often. But when I do, I like to run my mix set, which is gonna be like uh like close combat, overheat, Mach Punch, and Thunder Punch. And to me, it's one of the better checks to like. Well, not even a check. It's a counter basically to what was the thing called Ferrothorn. He can still can't Oko a Chansey, a Violet Bold Chansey, but he can definitely 2-hit KO it before Chansey can really do much. He's definitely one of the better Venusaur checks, even though Venusaur gets the thick fat. But if you're able to predict the Venusaur, or never mind, why would Venusaur switch in on a Infernape? That's stupid. He can definitely. Oh yeah, Mawile. That's definitely one of the biggest things he can check, as well as Sizer and Bisharp. Now he definitely gets checked and or countered hard by Talonflame or Azumarill or Rotom. So I don't know. Hopefully they're gonna be doing some type of testing for that because I don't really know if Infernape really belongs in UU, but we'll see. Let's move on to Lucario, which is going to be definitely a little bit interesting as his older brother Mega Lucario was moved to Ubers. Yeah, I mean, Lucario was OU for the past 2 gens. There's obviously a reason why. He gets access to like Crunch, Ice Punch, Close Combat, Stab Close Combat. He can still run a mix set as well with Aura Sphere, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, and all those I just stated have extremely good coverage that can take out a lot of Mons. But obviously, he isn't the bulkiest Pokemon. And honestly, with base 90 speed, it makes it a little bit harder for me to use, as there are faster Pokemon in the OU tier, such as Garchomp, there's Pinsir, or Mega Pinsir, excuse me. There's and even Mega Charizard, but then again, I guess you wouldn't really have Lucario in on a Mega Charizard. He can still take out Chansey, but I'm pretty. Can he take out? I don't really want to do the calcs for that, but yeah, Lucario can take out Chansey for sure with close combat and one other physical attack. So Lucario for me is one of those iffy mons. He can really be OU or UU, does not matter to me. And let's move on to one of the more surprising ones to me as well, and that's going to be Volcarona. Volcarona, with access to moves like Bug Buzz, Giga Drain, and all of his fire attacks, plus Quiver Dance. Quiver Dance really is what makes Volcarona as special as he is. And even you might even be able to run a more bulky set with investing in special defense and using Will-O-Wisp and Roost and giving him Fiery Dance so that way he can increase his special attack and even act as a standalone special tank sweeper type thing. But besides the point, Volcarona with access to all those attacks makes him a very incredible sweeper. But he does fall to the likes of Pokemon such as Talonflame and Mega Pinsir, and maybe even Mega Venusaur. Maybe. Obviously, Chansey and Blissey are still going to do work against Volcarona, but and I mean you can't forget Azumarill with its priority Aqua Jet. Tyranitar on the sand can tank a Bug Buzz pretty easily, but I mean, Volcarona is one of those iffy Pokemon. I do believe he should stay in OU just because of Quiver Dance, of him being a very capable Quiver Dance sweeper, even against especially defensive mons. So that's my take on it. And one more thing, Manaphy. I don't really use Manaphy. He goes into BL. I mean, what's his most common set? Probably like the Hydration, Rest, Tail Glow Sweeper. Definitely. I mean, without permanent drizzle from Politoed anymore, I guess Manaphy isn't as much of a threat as he used to be. But I mean, he can save BL really. In the end, he can save BL for all I care. So that's my analyses on these on the OU moved mons, and let me see if I can find him. Okay, so here we are. Sableye. No, okay, sorry. So we're moving on to the UU statistics, and now we have only two movers really from UU to RU and RU to UU. From RU to UU, we have Sableye. Now Sableye. Actually, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Sableye is considered BL2, but don't quote me on that. You can look that up. And Sableye, I always should be considered as an extremely powerful threat with his Prankster. Really, that's what makes Sableye. And he does work as a capable physical wall, as he can priority Will-O-Wisp Pokemon. He gets the foul play, so he can turn his opponent's attack against them. He's got knockoff, which is good for support. He's got recover to make him as a lasting wall. So I do believe Sableye does rightfully belong in UU. Definitely not OU, as he can be easily killed by the likes of Pokemon such as Volcarona and any other special attacker, fire type special attacker like Heatran. So, and he can't even Mega Mawile after a burn. Like, Mega Mawile before pure power or huge power, he's still gonna have base 120s attack or is it 110? I don't know. No, I think it's 105. It's 105, excuse me. And with a play rough, obviously, could definitely 2-hit KO. Maybe even Oko, a Sableye, depending on which variant you're running. So, Sabon definitely rightfully belongs in BL2 at least. Definitely OU, excuse me, UU. And the last Pokemon that we have here is going to be Jolteon. Now, Jolteon, it's like the little brother of Mega Magnetric. He has less bulk. He doesn't have that great of a move pool. I mean, he does get access to attacks that do hit Pokemon that can check Jolteon, like Shadow Ball, since he doesn't have resistance to Steel anymore, so he can use Shadow Ball to hit like Magnezone or a Pokemon like that. But I mean, with its limited move pool, and even with base 130 speed, Jolteon definitely doesn't deserve to be an OU. Maybe, and oh no, sorry. And with Mega Magnetric out of the tier, out of UU, definitely Jolteon needs to be brought back into UU since he can serve the role that Mega Magnetric faced. I mean, excuse me, not faced. That Mega Magnetric served, except without the Intimidate or the Bulk. But he can still run an effective choice specs set, and he can take on an electric type very easily. So let's see, nothing, and let's see, any beta still hasn't really been developed yet, so I can't really talk about that. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you like my analysis. If you like it, do rate. Like, rating isn't a thing anymore. That's like so 4 years ago. Please do give it a thumbs up and do comment and do subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.